Welcome to Dish and Nutrition Podcast, where we dish on trending nutrition topics, all the while making it easy and fun to understand. I'm your host, Sarah Williams.
I'm your co-host, Emma Boland.
Today, we are going to be talking, I'm just going to get right to it.
Let's do it.
Short and simple. Intermittent fasting.
Get into it.
Intermittent fasting. This has been, I don't know, I feel like I'm asked about intermittent fasting at least once a week in my DMs. And it's not an easy question to answer because it's such like a nuanced topic. It's not cut and dry. Depends on who I'm talking to, depends on your history. Like I can't just be like, yes, it's good, yes, it's, or no, it's bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a really good topic that could segue into like many different subtopics. Have you tried intermittent fasting?
Yes, I have been a victim of intermittent fasting. What I know about it is basically your window. I don't know the details, but like the window was I could only eat for 8 hours, and then I fasted for it was either 16 or 18. I don't
16,
even.
yeah.
I did it in college.
No, I mean I feel like intermittent fasting, it's definitely a pattern. I wouldn't say it's necessarily quote unquote a diet because it doesn't eliminate anything.
Yeah.
It's definitely a pattern of eating, but some people thrive on it and some people don't. I, for one, I think I tried it like maybe 3 days max, but I'm the type of person that like if I get up, I have to eat within 30 minutes or I get super nauseous.
See, I'm the opposite.
Taking that into consideration, I would not be a prime candidate for intermittent fasting.
See, I think that's why it was probably easy for me. The food,
You're not a morning eater?
absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
And that's fine. I mean, like all our bodies have preferences and that's bodily autonomy. But the actual definition of intermittent fasting, or IF, I might use those interchangeably just because I'm lazy. Intermittent fasting is an eating pattern that cycles between periods of fasting and eating. So unlike traditional diets, which focus like kind of what to eat or what not to eat, intermittent fasting primarily focuses on when to eat.
Okay.
And there's different methods. But first, let me go over the quick claims that are like all over, magazines and everything. So IF claims are, of course, weight loss, improved blood sugars, decreased risk for disease, reduced inflammation, improved brain health. And then also I'm going to touch on the topic of PCOS and intermittent fasting because I feel like those are the most two common topics that are together when people ask me about it, because I realize PCOS, again, is one of those topics that's very personalized and can be.
For sure.
Yeah. But I just want to touch on it and kind of go over what I've seen and read. So there are different methods. The most common, you touched on it, was the 16-8
Okay, that's what it was.
method. So this method involves fasting for 16 hours and eat during an 8-hour window. It doesn't tell you what 8-hour window. It's just you only have 8 hours to eat, which just that terminology I just don't love. But I reside on the more being wary of disordered eating. So that's just me and my background. However, some people don't have that issue. And then there's different methods and it gets more restrictive / kind of crash diety in my opinion. So there's a 5-2 diet.
I don't know that one.
This method involves eating normally for 5 days of the week and significantly reducing your calorie intake. And I'm talking like significant.
For 5 days or for 2 days?
So you're going to reduce your calorie intake for the other 2 days, which are non-consecutive. So it can't be like Monday through Friday, you eat normal, and then Saturday and Sunday. And when I say reduce, it's talking like 500 to 600 calories per day.
How is that even?
Yeah. No, yeah. I hate it.
That's
not even
ridiculous.
Fasting in my opinion.
I'd say that's not fasting though.
Yeah, that's just, I do not.
Depriving your body.
I don't love that.
Like at least, so like when I did it I would not eat until noon and then I would stop eating at 8.
I feel like that's the most common. And
I was still
that's the one I have the
eating.
least qualms with.
Like I was still you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So that is the 5-2 diet. There is the eat, stop, eat. So this involves fasting for a full 24 hours once or twice a week.
What?
So for example, if you finish dinner at 7 p.m., you wouldn't eat until 7 p.m. the next day. So that's just called starving yourself.
Yeah,
I'm just going to get very blunt
called,
in some of these things, and that's just called starving yourself.
That's called I'm an awful human to be around during that 24 hours.
Don't ask me to do anything.
God bless you if you come into contact with me. Straight water.
Straight up,
like
quote
no
unquote,
coffee.
fasting. Yeah, nothing for 24 hours. I think you could do water or black coffee. Nothing that stimulates or has caloric intake. Caloric density, excuse me.
Yeah.
So that's eat, stop, eat. Then there's alternate day fasting, which involves alternating between days of normal eating and fasting days where calorie intake is drastically reduced or entirely avoided. So eat normal for one day. Next day, you just don't eat, or you do like 500, 600 calories. Next day, eat normal. The next day, reduce or just completely fast. Sounds horrible.
That actually sounds like a mind game.
No, literally. How some of these methods, other than the 16-8, and I still am not 1,000% on with the 16-8, but the 5-2 eat, stop, eat alternate day, I don't understand how that's not disordered eating.
That is disordered.
I'm not saying it's an eating disorder. I am saying it is a disordered way of viewing a relationship with food.
Abso-freaking-lutely. If you're going to those links for, I don't know, I feel like for me, I did intermittent fasting for weight loss purposes.
Oh, so it was like for weight loss?
Yeah.
That was the intention?
I mean, I hate eating in the morning, so it just worked out.
So it was
and then I did end up losing weight.
Yeah.
Which
Ooh,
makes
we're going to
sense.
talk about that. We're going to talk about why maybe fasting works, or maybe why there's an association with something else.
Yeah.
So there's actually 2 more methods, and they get even worse.
Gross. Gross.
So there's a warrior diet. This method involves eating small amounts of raw fruits and vegetables during a 20-hour fasting window, followed by 1 large meal in the evening within a 4-hour eating window. Hate it. That's it.
So
Hate
bizarre.
it. And then this one made me giggle. Spontaneous meal skipping is this method. There it is, folks. Like, the word is skipping. Like, I don't know how much more black and white you can get.
Spontaneous today. Let me just forget about lunch.
This sounds like one of those things that you would hear over, like, at a table in California. I'm doing spontaneous meal skipping, so I just really am not going to eat this meal. No, so this is the more casual approach. Involves skipping meals when convenient, essentially fasting for several hours longer than usual without a fixed schedule. I absolutely hate this one with all of my heart, mind, and soul. That is just called not eating and having a disordered relationship with food. There, I said it.
So it's only a couple hours?
Yes.
That's not even fasting.
Yeah, it says essentially, quote unquote, fasting for several hours.
No, that just... All right.
It says it's the more casual approach. No, it's just called not eating.
What?
I haven't... Okay, I mean, I have heard of spontaneous meal skipping, but I also was, counseling eating disordered patients, and they had very similar schedules.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not... That is not a healthy mindset regarding food. Like, I don't want someone to listen to this and be like, I'm just not going to eat lunch, and I'm going to call that fasting. No, that's called skipping a meal, and that is disordered.
But 2, yeah.
Boom. That's the soapbox I'll die on.
What's the root cause of that? Like, why do you think you need to skip a meal?
Oh, do you have 4 days to listen to me talk? The only one that doesn't make my stomach hurt, essentially, is the 16-8 diet. And I'll get into why. Like, it's not my favorite, but it's not like my absolute, like, if you were like, yeah, I'm doing the 16-8, I'm just going to be like,
yeah,
okay. But if you're telling me I'm doing spontaneous meal skipping, like, I'm getting you into with a therapist and going to talk about, like, deep trauma with you.
That's something my grandma would do.
Okay, so let's get into the elephant in the room for intermittent for weight loss.
Yeah.
When you started, like, your journey with intermittent fasting, if you're comfortable about, like, talking about it, and you said you were doing it for weight loss, did you just Google, like, diets, and you just, like, chose intermittent fasting? What got you to executing the intermittent fasting?
I feel like it was popping up on, like, my Instagram, and there was this doctor that I follow. Dr. Hyman, I think was his name. Do you know?
That's a really unfortunate name.
Mark
Sorry.
Hyman.
Yeah, no, I know who you're
Do you
talking
know
about.
who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
And I think one of his things popped up and I was like, oh, interesting. Like, let me try it. And honestly, the science that he broke down to me when I was like 20 years old, 21,
Fair.
made sense, I guess. So I was like, okay, let me try it. And I already hated breakfast foods.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's perfect. Like,
So it's like, oh, this is the best of both worlds. I lose weight and I don't have to eat breakfast.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I got you. So root cause, you saw it like on social media and stuff. So IF for weight loss, I feel like that's one of the larger reasons why people would participate in intermittent fasting. And that's fine. Bodily autonomy, you do you. But are the results from fasting regarding weight loss related to like the actual fasting, or is it caloric restriction? There's like a scientific divide with professionals. One half is saying no, it's the fasting. The other half is just like, no, you're just eating less. One, let's talk about like if you're participating in this specific eating pattern, you're already in a hyper aware like headspace of a diet, eating pattern, whatever you want to call. So you're already going to be hyper aware of like the foods that you're consuming. You're going to be more intentional with your exercise. You're going to be doing the more healthful decisions if you're already in a mindset consciously choosing to do this eating pattern. So those are some variables that also need to be taken into consideration too. So the science, some research, there may be some short-term benefits to fasting, but over time, like long-term, it seems to be little to no different than caloric restriction versus fasting. So like in the long run, there's not much of a difference between how you lost your weight, whether you did it fasting or just caloric restriction. So that's a very important thing to take into mind. So like if you're someone whose your goal is weight loss and you want to be on that journey, that's cool. And you're like, I want to do intermittent fasting because it promises weight loss. But you're someone who's like me and you're like, I get so nauseous, but I have to eat, but I can't eat because it's not my time to break the fast or whatever. That's something to keep in mind. And you can achieve weight loss. It just may not be through fasting because that may not be something that works for you and your body.
I look back at when I did it, and like I said, my window was 12 to 8, and I am a late night snacker to the freaking max. I'm like, I think it just kind of forced me into a more mindful eating because I did stop
You're
eating.
thinking about it. Yes.
Yeah. Like last night at 10 p.m. I had a fudge bar, like, and I wasn't doing that. You know what I mean? So it's like,
no, I completely agree. It makes you just, like I said, beating a dead horse, hyper aware of every single choice that you're making. Let me ask you this, and you can be super honest. Do you feel like your relationship with food during your time doing IF was better or worse? Because you've opened up previously on previous episodes, like you have a past with not having a fantastic relationship. Do you feel like it was better or worse during the intermittent fasting, since you do have this quote unquote freedom to eat whatever? It's just during this time restricted window.
It was probably not healthy just because of like the environment that I was in, the mindset that I was in. Because for me, I would be like, oh, well, I only have 12 to 8. So sometimes I would binge and be like, I only have 12 to 8. I want to eat this, but I can't eat at 9 p.m. So I'm going to eat it.
I'm going to go ahead and get it into my window.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So like you're not necessarily hungry, but you're like, I can't eat past 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah, that's like a really good point to keep in mind as well.
Now, I don't intentionally do intermittent fasting, but like sometimes I do.
Sometimes your body just naturally does it.
Exactly. So
that's also eating to your circadian rhythm, which is also very interesting too. Yeah. That was genuinely just me wondering, like, because a large portion of people who I interact with, and my story, I'm very open with, like, I had a past with disordered eating. That's where my mind goes to, is the struggle with, would it be a mind game or would it be a more natural occurring thing? So it's interesting to hear from someone who also has like the same similar background, because you're just like, oh my gosh, I only have 8 hours, so I'm going to eat as much as I can within this 8 hours, rather than, I don't know where I was going with that, but yes. Yeah.
No,
interesting.
Sure.
Very interesting.
And then also when it's like 8:30 and I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
Or
And you're denying your body.
You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just hard. Like, was I still hungry, or was I just craving like chips that I don't know. So
sure. Well, nighttime binging is linked to not eating enough during the day. Yeah. But there was a study that was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, and it concluded, quote, that patients with obesity, a regimen of time-restricted eating was not more beneficial with regard to reduction in body weight, body fat, or metabolic risk factors than daily calorie restriction. So I feel like that's, just keep it in your pocket.
Yeah.
Just something these are all just things that you can take with you when you're considering dietary patterns, whatever way you want to follow it.
I agree with that, because I don't know your thoughts on this. Food is food. So if you're eating, that's great. But like if you're doing the 12 to 8 and you go to McDonald's and you get a Big Mac and a large fry, and then for dinner you eat Wendy's, it's like, well, yeah, you're fasting.
Am I really doing
like,
it in the namesake of health?
Yeah.
Or am I just trying to give myself a rigid structure for whatever deep-seated reasons, So a large takeaway for weight loss, specifically with intermittent fasting, is for most people, intermittent fasting ultimately becomes a way to reduce their caloric intake, point blank period, because you have a lesser period of time to eat. If you give yourself like a really strict eating window, you'll most likely eat less, unless you do have a history, kind of like what you touched on. You like felt pressure, so you kind of did the opposite of what it was intending.
Yeah.
But so there's a lot of studies that support the idea that there is no greater calorie restriction impact from fasting than there is from other methods. So like it's basically saying calorie restriction versus IF, they're both going to result in weight loss. One is not better than the other.
Yeah.
And if you're someone, I'm trying to like word it. One is not better than the other. And if you're just absolutely miserable doing IF and you're on a weight loss journey, then maybe calorie restriction is going to be, or calorie deduction. Restriction is like a harsh word, but like, you know what I mean?
Do you, since we're just on this topic, it made me think, like, do you hate calorie, like decreasing your caloric intake? Do you hate that? Not even from like an intermittent fasting standpoint, but
you just mean like overall.
Yeah, like if so say for example, I am going to a wedding at the end of the month and I'm like, I think I want to feel a little better in my skin than I do right now. Like, and I know decreasing my calories could speed that up. Like, do you hate that mindset? Or
I think that is such a loaded question, and I'm happy to answer it. But I think there's so many things that can stem from that way of thinking.
Yeah.
If someone is on a weight loss journey, the way you're going to achieve that is going to be through, like we touched on this in Can You Lose Weight Without like psycho tracking and everything, that episode. You can't deny thermodynamics. Like that's it, your calories in, calories out, whatever you want to like dumb it down to. I hate the mindset when someone is saying, I want to lose a few pounds for this wedding or whatever, and they just cut drastically.
Yeah.
It is the drastic actions that just absolutely bother me, are not healthy, will not benefit you in the long run, is not going to achieve what you want. It's going to be worse for you in the long run. I don't hate it. And if someone's on a weight loss journey, I think my realm of social media, intuitive eating and all that stuff gets a bad rap, because like there are some people who are in the intuitive eating world that are just like, weight loss is bad, blah, blah, blah. Being completely transparent, if you want to change your body, that is your, you can do that on your own accord. You have complete freedom to do whatever you want. Bodily autonomy. I mean, like, how can I sit here and say, no, you should not want to lose weight when I'm going and getting Botox for my wrinkles? I'm changing something about my appearance because it will make me
more confident.
It will make me more confident. That is what I want for my body. So how can I sit here and say that about like weight loss or weight management?
Yeah.
I just think it's so important to do it correctly and have your, like, do it while holding the hands of someone who is a professional. So they can say, hey, actually, you don't need to drop down to 600 calories to lose weight. Like, and, you know, go into the deep seated reasons as to why you want to lose weight. Will your issues go away if you do lose those 5 pounds? Probably not. You know, like, those are all the things that go along with when people talk about weight loss. So long story short, no, like, if someone's on a weight loss journey, I'm not going to be like, ugh, you should love your body. Like, you should love your body, but you can also love your body and objectively be like, oh, I would just love to
feel better.
I would love to feel better in my own skin. And if you think that you can achieve that by losing a few pounds, okay, cool. Let's do it correctly, and let's do it healthfully, and let's not do it in a way where you're obsessing about it day in and day out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, queen. Okay, queen.
I just feel like it's just such a...
It is. That's a hard...
It's like, do you like dieting? No, I hate dieting. Yeah. But there are ways to lose weight without dieting. Does that make sense? And I feel like dieting, people are like, they associate that with calorie restriction. No, I'm talking about, like, if you want to lose weight, you don't have to do the keto diet. If you want to lose weight, you don't have to do intermittent fasting. If you want to lose weight, you don't have to do these crash course diets to make your life miserable. You can do it the correct way. And you don't even have to track technically. You can just be more aware. We touched on that on the other episode.
Yeah.
But
go listen.
That's my soapbox.
Sorry.
I really thinking, like...
But I forgot about that episode that we did.
I appreciate the question 1000% because I do get that question a lot is, do you support weight loss? And I'm like, what do you... Yeah, like if someone wants to, you can. Let me help you do it correctly. But yeah. All right. So intermittent fasting for blood sugar and insulin is also another reason why I see people participate in this dietary pattern, and that's totally fine. Fasting is shown to reduce insulin levels and decrease insulin sensitivity. It may also decrease blood sugar levels in diabetics, which is great. But let's kind of break this down onto like why. So fasting means you're not eating all day long, obviously. That's literal definition. When you limit the duration of your eating hours, this is normally going to have an effect on insulin and blood sugars, both of which rise even in very healthy people when we eat. So it's like, yes, fasting does help with it because when you're limiting the duration of your eating hours, it's not going to affect the insulin because you know what I mean?
Because insulin...
It's not like rocket science. Yeah. Like, and also fasting, like we just touched on, can cause weight loss, and weight loss is very much linked to helping insulin sensitivity and lowering blood sugars. So I think that is the correlation that people make when they think about blood sugar and insulin regarding IF. It's if that is something that you battle, I mean, like I said, if you don't have the history or if you're someone who is an able body who can participate in it, and I mean, maybe give it a try. Talk to your doctor, of course, and see how you feel and check your blood sugars. But if it doesn't and you hate it, don't do it.
That's okay.
Yeah. Kind of touching on insulin sensitivity and all that, we're going to talk about intermittent fasting for PCOS because I feel like that is like the hottest recommendation right now for PCOS patients. And so the claim is it can improve your insulin sensitivity, which we just kind of broke down quickly in 2 seconds ago. You're limiting your duration of eating hours. So that's, yes, like see it above is what I literally put in my notes. See above. So that, and we know PCOS struggle with insulin sensitivity and insulin resistance. So there could very much be a positive link there. And then weight management. Again, see above, kind of what we talked about, weight loss. Weight loss can help manage symptoms for PCOS, which I know is a very broad statement and a very frustrating recommendation when you go and see doctors. They're like, oh, you have PCOS, lose weight. It's like, well, brother, I'm trying. Yeah.
That is where semaglutide comes in to help a lot of people with PCOS.
Oh, 1000%. That's another stigma. I feel like people think that my friend, I won't obviously say her name or anything, but she opened up to me because I do have such a loud platform regarding like anti-diet culture and all that stuff. Her doctor recommended Ozempic, semaglutide, for her PCOS and her health conditions, and she was like, I just don't, what do you think? Like she was worried that like I was gonna be like, oh my gosh, blah blah blah. It is a GLP-1 that is a fantastic tool for people with PCOS or type 2 diabetics. What I hate Ozempic for is for quick weight loss for people who do not need it and are taking the medication away from people who actually need it. Mic drop. I'm pissed off that all these celebrities are just like drastically losing tons of weight and they look fantastic on the red carpets. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
And then they lie about it.
And then they lie about it. Yeah. But I'm just pissed off that the availability is becoming less and less to people who actually need it. And I fully support the use if it is recommended by your doctor. I fully support that use if it's going to help with a specific health condition. If it's literally just for weight loss, which in the general population is not generally
that's
as available, but stop taking it away from people who need it. Medication. But if someone's like, I don't really want to go the medication route and they're thinking about intermittent fasting, I just want them to be able to use this as a resource.
Absolutely.
But there are potential risks if you're doing intermittent fasting specifically for PCOS. Number one, stress and cortisol levels. So we know women with PCOS, they have elevated cortisol levels, which we talked about our friend cortisol in another episode. And fasting could potentially increase that cortisol further, and that could lead to increased insulin resistance and fat storage. And then we talked about how that fat usually gets stored around the abdomen area, the visceral fat. So that is something that could worsen the condition and just not make life super fun, specifically for PCOS.
Yeah.
And then there is a risk of nutrient deficiency. So if you're not carefully planning what you're eating and you're just going by the edge of your seat, intermittent fasting can lead to inadequate nutrition intake, and that's crucial for people like with PCOS because they need to make sure they're getting specific nutrients, especially from B vitamins, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids. Those all support hormonal balance. So if you're not carefully planning that within your window of eating, it kind of is null and void. And
I agree
then you're getting nutrient deficient in these things that your body really needs, specifically with the condition of PCOS. And then the last risk is the impact of menstrual cycle. So some women have reported experiencing changes in their menstrual cycle, which is obviously a huge thing with people with PCOS because their cycle's already super jacked up. The change in the menstrual cycle can be due to fasting. And if your calorie intake is too low or the fasting is too long, that can screw up the cycle even more, especially if you find yourself on like a fertility journey.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, and you're trying to time certain windows, like that is definitely something that you may want to keep in your back pocket if this is what you're considering if you're in that phase of life and you do have PCOS. But of course, consult your doctor for any changes.
Always.
So fasting conclusion, those were just the highlights that I just wanted to really hone in on. Fasting conclusions, there are downsides to any sort of calorie restriction, especially done in an extreme manner. I touched on that very passionately. There's consequences to your actions. And intermittent fasting isn't alone in this. So severely limiting what you can eat can cause side effects such as nutrient deficiencies, mood disruptions, and if I don't have enough food, muscle loss, hormonal disruption, psychological issues around food and eating. It can spiral your relationship with food if you're not already in a healthy headspace with that. That is so important to keep in mind as well. And then there's a very, very, very thin line between fasting and starving. And we talked about the different methods with intermittent fasting, and basically everything other than the 16-8 was just starving yourself in different ways.
Yeah.
Cannot, in good mind and ethically, I am held to a certain code of ethics. Being a registered dietitian, I cannot recommend that. I cannot recommend, if you're starving yourself in the quote name of fasting, I will not recommend that. And there's just no compelling evidence that severe or prolonged restriction is better than more like a more balanced, moderate approach. You can't tell me, like, it's so much more superior. Like the science isn't there.
Go listen to the episode of Can You Lose Weight Without? That will cover everything you need to know.
That would be like a 2-parter. We need to just attach it to this episode, honestly. Long story short, there's just no evidence that intermittent fasting is better for weight loss than any other calorie cutting method. And you can definitely lose weight without having to do things that you don't want to do. Does that make sense? Like, you don't have to do intermittent fasting if you don't want to. If you want to engage in intermittent fasting, one, I recommend trying the 16-8 first. That is the only one that I don't absolutely hate. But if, like I said, if you're someone who absolutely needs food in the morning, this maybe fasting just isn't for you.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
And maybe you can like pull, well, I don't know, you might condone this. I'm like, maybe you can pull, you don't have to do intermittent fasting, but you can be like, you know what? I noticed that I eat it really late at night because I crave sugar. Me. Like, maybe I should just stop. Maybe I should just be mindful, like towards the end of the day.
Mindful eating?
Yeah. Like, it doesn't need to
what
be...
is this? What?
I know.
Did you just create? No. Yes, mindful eating.
Yeah.
That is, I hate saying mindful eating because people just like roll their eyes at me because they're like, duh. But I'm like,
no, literally.
No, have you actually applied it?
But I just eat, I just keep going because I love the way it tastes. And then I feel sick afterwards. And it's like,
because
I
it's like,
just chilled out and been like, okay, 3 cookies is okay. You don't need 7.
Exactly.
Because I like the way they taste.
Right.
Like,
but yeah, long story short, intermittent fasting isn't going to cure all your ailments. It's not the worst one that I've ever heard. Don't you dare do the 5-2 alternate day eat, stop, eat.
Please,
those
God.
are all stupid and I hate them. That's just starving yourself in different ways. And I do want to make an absolute disclaimer. Any and all recommendations or anything that I say in this podcast is for the healthy general public. There are people who should absolutely not fast, and those are pregnant and nursing women. Don't you dare. Your body needs nutrition around the clock. Anyone with a history of an eating disorder or disordered eating, there's just nothing good that can come from a rigid and very structured way of eating with someone who has that history. If you're clinically underweight, maybe you don't need to be doing intermittent fasting. And if it makes you feel bad, you don't need to be doing intermittent fasting.
Life is too short.
Life's too short to be absolutely miserable. Life is too short if you go to a get together and there's cake.
Cake. I knew it.
I love cake. Okay, fine. There's ice cream. And it is 8:45, and you're out with your friends, and you're doing intermittent fasting, and you find yourself saying, "Oh well, I can't because I'm on this diet or I'm on this pattern of eating." I just don't love that. I love being able to have full control of what I'm eating, when I'm eating, how I'm eating. You know what I mean? Yeah. So. 100%. I think that's just something to kind of sit with and marinate. Screw you for calling me out for saying cake.
That's always your like.
That is.
I love it. Though.
Who doesn't like cake? Actually, my husband doesn't like cake. I love it. My husband doesn't. He's a psychopath.
He doesn't like cake?
Long story short, really sit with your history, who you are as a person, your personal patterns of eating before beginning any diet, but specifically intermittent fasting, since that's what we're talking about today. I have no housekeeping.
That was amazing.
So good. I don't know. I just really love this podcast.
Me too.
It's really fun. It's just an outlet for me.
It is.
I don't know.
I just like hanging out with you. So I'll be here. Just let me know when you don't want me on the pod anymore.
But I guess with that, you've been dished.
You've been dished.